I walked the Camino de Santiago. Are you familiar?
No.
Okay. So it's about 1,000-year-old pilgrimage. It's a Catholic pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela, which is a town in northwestern Spain close to the Atlantic, which is where the tomb of St. James is, apparently. And so St. James was one of Jesus' disciples. He was the first of Jesus' disciples to die. He was beheaded specifically. And so like the lore is that his body was carried up this very specific river and then I guess like hoisted and carried from the bank into Santiago de Compostela, where they have this massive church there. And at the bottom, sort of like in the crypt or whatever, is where his tomb is. So it's been around for, 1,000 years or so. People from all over the world come. There's a bunch of different paths that you can go that all kind of merge into like these three main paths to Santiago. So I walked the Portuguese way. So I walked from Porto, Portugal, close to 200 miles.
Wow.
Over 11 days to Santiago de Compostela, which was incredible. Yeah, so it's a walking pilgrimage.
Was this with a big group of people? Were you
Solo.
You did that solo?
I did it solo, yeah.
Dude.
I mean, I met people along the way, right? So there are other pilgrims along the way. So I'd like link up for another pilgrim or a group for a day, and then I would do my own thing.
So multiple people are doing this. Why? Okay, I see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you stay in, they're called albergues, which are these little like municipally funded sort of like hostels. So when you start, they give you like a pilgrim's passport. And you can only stay at these municipally funded housing places if you're a pilgrim, if you have the passport. So it's like 5-10 euro for a night. So I wasn't camping. So I would walk maybe 19 to 23 miles a day, 6.5 hours from town to town. So I would start at 6:30 in the morning. I would end up at the next town at about 2:30. You want to beat the heat. I mean, it was like cooking hot. So like those nights where you were out a little bit too late and you got a late start, like you're regretting it, you know? Yeah, so it was incredible. It was a beautiful experience, really transformative. And I had some real sort of intentions going into it as well. But yeah, I mean, an experience of a lifetime. I can't wait to get back. I'm going to be back for sure.
Well, yeah, I have several questions. My first one is, how did you discover this and come across this? Did someone tell you about this? Did you read about it? Oh, I'm going to go. What was that spark that I'm going to go do this?
So somebody told me about it. It was an old boss of mine, actually, that mentioned it. And immediately, as soon as he mentioned, like, I just knew I was there. I was in grad school at the time. It was in my first year. So I was like, okay, when I graduate, a year and a half from now, I'm going straight to the Camino.
Wow, you had to have had so many insights.
So many insights and so many just bizarre synchronicities too. So one of the big intentions, sort of like themes for myself on this quest was there's an idea in depth psychology, and the idea is about grabbing your sword. So in all of these different like myths of masculine development, of psychological development, there's a certain part where or a certain stage when our hero finally grabs his sword. And what does that represent? Like that represents man's ability to be discerning in this world, right? To like cut your way through the world, to like chest up, head up. Like I have my sword, like I'm able to move through space with like integrity. And so that was a big part of this experience for me, was like, I want to embody that reality, this sort of like depth psychological theme of grabbing your sword. And so anyways, to go back to the synchronicities, I was thinking about this on like a daily basis. Like, what does this mean for me as a man to grab my sword and like live with my sword, like on my hip, And I met this Australian woman, and she had just finished reading a book, and we're chopping it up a little bit, and we're all wearing our backpack or our bags, or like 20-pound bags. So people are trying to get rid of weight. And she offers me this book. Hey, I'm trying to get rid of this. Take this book. And I end up getting into this book, and it's a Paulo Coelho book, which I didn't realize who wrote The Alchemist, if you're familiar.
One of my favorite.
So he wrote this book a year before The Alchemist. It's actually a prequel in ways to The Alchemist, but not nearly as popular. People aren't very familiar with it.
I'll be ordering it as soon as you tell me what it is.
It's incredible. It's called The Pilgrimage. And it's about a man walking this pilgrimage trying to find his sword. Whoa. That's what the book's about. And like, that was like my whole theme and intention, one of them, this entire time. And then this woman gives me this book, and I'm Paulo Coelho. I'd never heard of it. The Pilgrimage. He's literally walking the Camino de Santiago in the book, right? So that's why she was reading it. It's like he's walking it in the book. And it's about him looking for and finding his sword. Crazy synchronicity. Crazy synchronicity.